In today's tutorial, I'm going to use these stunning pink Alstroemeria to create a type of topiary tree. If that's something you're interested in learning, then stay with me for today's tutorial. So welcome back to today's video, and I'm going to create a topiary tree style arrangement using these fantastic Alstroemeria. These are a florist grade Alstroemeria, but they're a flower that's really easy to get hold of from a supermarket. And I'm not a great lover of arranging with Alstroemeria because I think the heads are so small and delicate. They quite often get surrounded by other flowers and the beauty of the individual Alstroemeria gets lost. But I really do like them in this style of arrangement, and I really love using them in hand ties because then you can show off the head of the Alstroemeria really nicely. Now, what I've already done just before filming is I cut all my stems to the same length. That will speed the process up. This one is not my favourite because it has a bit of a curved stem, but I'm going to try and hide it in the centre. And what we need to do is start in the middle and then work our way out, but creating these very obvious parallel groupings of flowers. This one is similar. And what I'm going to do towards the end is tie them together with some decorative ribbon that's going to match my container. And I've gone for a fairly neutral container. This is just green. I probably don't need to tell you that. But a plain green container works really well with the flowers because it's quite neutral. And there is a video coming shortly explaining in more detail how I place the foam in the bottom. But essentially it's a block of foam that's been cut not quite in half. I've got a little larger section on the top and a smaller section on the bottom. But it gives me plenty of room to get these upright placements of Alstroemeria in, but also allow me to put almost like a collar around the base. So if you've just joined me, I have cut all these Alstroemeria just before I started filming. And what I'm doing is arranging them really close there to the centre. So I started with one in the centre. I'm trying to arrange the heads so they're almost interlocking, and if I wasn't filming I would probably take a step back every now and again just to see how that top was forming, but hopefully I've got a nice shape there on the top. So after I've done that initial centre placement, so one in the centre and maybe three around, I'm now angling them slightly further out so that I'm not squashing the heads too close together. And what I'm going to do towards the end is tie that top section of flowers together so that we've got a little bit of a decorative element around the middle. Now, I don't mind those stems being visible because I want to give the illusion of a topiary tree. If you find that a little bit offensive, you could always add some greenery in there, but the whole point is that we represent or we copy something like this, which is a topiary tree. When you're buying Alstroemeria, try and look for stems that are quite straight. If they're curved like this, they're a little bit more difficult to work with. But sometimes if you're buying ones from the supermarket, you don't have any option. And it's a design that is to be seen from all around. So you've got to keep turning it and looking at it from different levels to see how the design is coming together. And we're looking to go about twice the height of the container or slightly larger. And I've just realised I've left the price on the container. Now, if you can't tell on the camera, this is a plastic base. It's not a ceramic container. It only cost £1.50 and it's a really good shape. It's a versatile container for lots of different styles. So you're probably going to see lots of this over the next couple of months. Now, my next flower choice for the bottom section here, so I'm going to fill this part out at the base. I'm going to use a garden foliage called Hebe, and it's a lovely rich purple. It's not the same colour as the flowers on the top, but I do have some pink flowers to match the colour combination on the top. And because my foam isn't raised above the edge of the container, I can't come out in this horizontal style, but I can come in this diagonal position. And what I'm going to do with the Hebe is almost create a little bit of a collar around the outside. I'm not too concerned if it's not perfect. or perfectly matching, I should say. It doesn't matter if the pieces aren't perfectly the same, but what we're going to do is create a bit of a border or a collar there around the bottom, and I'm coming up in that more diagonal placement because my foam isn't going to allow me to come across horizontally, which is okay because that's what I chose to do in the beginning. By doing it this way, it means I've got less foam to cover and therefore the bottom doesn't become too visually heavy. I'm also going to add in some of the lime green Conifer. It's a really good contrast, but it also connects quite nicely with the limey colour stems and the green, that really verdant green that we've got at the top. So really what I'm trying to do is to connect the colours on the top to the colours on the bottom. And what I love about this style of arranging is that it's really easy for a beginner. If you don't like very formal arranging, or you're not experienced enough to create something that's symmetrically balanced, this is a really good one to start with. And you can choose any type of flower, whether it's supermarket or florist bought, but what you're looking for is the same colour, the same variety, and then you link that colour with the design at the bottom. So to create a bit of a colour link between the top and the bottom, I've got a variation of flowers. So I've got a double chrysanthemum in this lovely sort of magenta purple, and I've also got a lovely rose that's called jacaranda, which has already started to open. I've had these here in the studio for about a week now, and I did use them in one of the evening classes last week, so they have started to open up really nicely. And what I'm going to do is just spread that colour out throughout the bottom. Some I'm placing on the outside edge, and then some I'm putting a little closer to the middle. So we get a bit of a variation in the placement of the flowers. I don't want it to be really formal and too matchy on either side. I want it to be a little bit casual and a bit informal. So far, I've got 5 roses, and I think I've got 7 to use altogether. This could be just foliage at the bottom. You could also use some moss if you don't want to pay out for the expense of the flowers. And then really casually interspersed between the roses, I'm going to put the darker chrysanthemum, and I've cut them all in one go. That helps to speed up the process. It also gives you flowers that are the same length, so you're almost guaranteed to have that circular outline. I'm going to pop some up to the middle as well, so the colour is more evenly distributed. And because there's some white colour in there in the top, I'm going to use one of my favourite flowers in the summer, and that's the Statice. It may be deemed a bit old-fashioned, but I think this is such a versatile flower, and it dries so well. If you're a keen gardener, then you'll be able to grow this from seed and have an abundance of it in the garden. And this one is a completely different shape. So we've got round shapes so far. This is more elongated and more of a line. So this is going to work nicely to draw your eye outwards and help reinforce that circular design at the bottom. Now essentially the bottom part of this arrangement is a posy, so it's just a round style of arrangement, and I've tried to link it to the colours that are at the top so it makes a nice cohesive arrangement. The main reason for me not using any of the Alstroemeria at the bottom part of this design is because the stems are a little too short, and I didn't want to put in a full size head of the Alstroemeria because it's a bit heavy there at the bottom. And then just to finish off, I'm going to add in some Gypsophila. And don't forget, at this stage, you really do need to subscribe to the channel. And if you hit that notification bell, you will be told every time I upload a new tutorial, and you won't miss anything at all. If you have any questions or any comments, you can pop them in the comment box below. And don't forget, of course, to like and share the channel with other like-minded flower arrangers. And if you've got any questions, just put them in the comment box below. So the softness there of the gyp at the base adds a really elegant look to the arrangement. And I think that this is perfect for a beginner because you don't have to think too much about the arranging. Remember to keep the foam below the edge of the container because you use less material, because you don't have to cover such a large piece of foam. And now I'm just going to finish off by looking to see if there's an obvious front, even though this arrangement has been designed as an all-round arrangement. I'm just going to turn this one so that the bend in the stem is facing inwards, Don't worry about that wayward flower for a minute, because once I tie it, it's going to pull back in nicely. So what I'm going to do just to finish off this arrangement is tie this section here. I don't want to go too tight because the heads are going to be too close together. But I'm going to tie that into a little bow there so that we've got a really pretty soft design with a little bit of an elegant ribbon. And for those of you who really like all the extra accessories and a little bit of fluff in an arrangement, I'm just going to wire another organza bow together, and we can sit that nestled in amongst the flowers just at the front off to one side, so we've got a really pretty design. And how about that for a Sunday afternoon? Is that something that you'll easily be able to recreate at home? I think so. Thanks for watching. I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.